For those of you that don't know, I'm a part of what's called the Arete Syndicate. What the Arete Syndicate is, it's the only coaching program that Ed Mylett has. It's the only one that he does. So he's got a coaching program he does with his partner, Andy Frisella. I've been a part of it for 4 or 5 years. And just a side note, I want to encourage everybody to make sure that they're personally developing, that you're getting out of your normal environment, that you're getting around people that think bigger, that are in different situations than you are, so that you can expand your capacity. And I had the opportunity to spend time with 2,500 entrepreneurs last weekend, most of them not in WFG, by the way. A lot of them wanted to be entrepreneurs, and many of them want to get into our industry, which is a whole different conversation. But I was reminded of a couple things, and I want to share a couple takeaways, so I'd really recommend pulling out your pen. This was direct coaching from the GOAT. And the people that he put up on stage were strategically put there to help us move our mindset forward. I'm going to give you the Coles notes in the next 18 minutes. So if you stay with me here, you can save yourself a bit of money for not being at that event. But I do obviously recommend going to different groups or different events or being a part of something outside of WFG that's going to grow your mindset. So listen, I was reminded at that event, the world needs hope. The world needs inspiration. But the question that I was asking myself at that event was, do I have the fortitude? Do I have the vision? And I want to ask that of you today. Do you have the fortitude? Are you willing to stick it out? Are you willing to get up when you get knocked down? Are you willing to develop the vision? Are you willing to keep your feet moving when it seems like nothing's working for you? One of the things that Ed said is this. He said, people that win in business can sell the dream while they're living the nightmare. How many of you before in business felt like you were living the nightmare? Be honest. We've all been through it. But the winners are selling the dream while they're living the nightmare. See, everybody thinks, well, as soon as I become successful, I'll start recruiting. As soon as I have something to talk about, I'll start posting on social media. That's not how it works. See, the winners have the ability to sell the dream while they're living the nightmare. The middle class think that the winners are just always winning. Things are always great. Oh, life must be always great. Oh, I just wish I was lucky like that person too. That has nothing to do with it. The challenge that we have every day is this. Write this down. It's our ability to make invisible progress. The kind of progress that you and I should be chasing on a daily basis is what's called invisible progress. Invisible. If Chad goes to the gym 4 days in a row, he's not going to see a big difference immediately. But it's invisible. Everybody wants the visible progress. I want visible progress in my business. I want instant cash flow. I want to be happy all the time right away. But it's invisible. It's day to day. It's day in, day out. It's boring. It's monotonous, but it's relentless. And I was reminded of 3 traits of successful people. The first trait is they believe they deserve it. Successful people believe they deserve it. You will never be successful until you feel like you deserve it. That's the formula. So you have to work on the idea that you're enough, that you do deserve it, that you can break the cycle of your family. But every day you have to chip away at that limiting belief. It's holding you back. Number 2 is, the second trait is they have a fear of not achieving their potential. This one's huge. They have a fear of not achieving their potential. See, people that never become successful, people that never get over the hump, people that never get out of their own crap, they don't have a fear. They don't have the fear of not achieving their potential. Ed said, I'm addicted to the expansion of my being. Talks about one day we're all going to die and you are going to meet the man or woman that you were supposed to become. and you'll get to find out how close you were to that person. We're all capable of great things. Successful people have a fear of not achieving their full potential. And the third trait of a successful person is this: they have emotional control. Do you have emotional control? Are you in control of your emotions? I'm going to say this right now. You better pay attention to your emotions. Because you don't want to get to the end of all of this and be angry and stressed out the whole time. Can you imagine getting to the end of life or business or whatever it is you're chasing? Can you imagine getting to the end 10, 15, 20, 30 years in and realizing that you were angry and stressed out and you had anxiety about it the entire time? Wow. So again, successful people believe they deserve it. They have a fear of not achieving their potential, and they have emotional control. They have emotional control. We had an opportunity to meet with Robert Greene. I'm not sure if you know who Robert Greene is, but Robert Greene was the author of The 48 Laws of Power, which is a book I read right when I started WFG, one of my favorite books. It's intense. Awesome book, 48 Laws of Power. He also wrote The Art of Persuasion. And it was awesome. I had a conversation with him at the lobby of the hotel because it was a small event. We got to hang out for a bit, talking about philosophy. He was obsessed with Napoleon Bonaparte and a war and strategy. And I love this guy because he's very strategic. But I want you to listen to the two things that he told us. This will change your perspective. The two biggest dangers in life are this. Write this down. Two biggest dangers in life: aging and success. Aging and success. Let's talk about aging first. As we get older, we gain more knowledge. And instead of observing the way the world is now, we tend to get stuck in our old ways. Who can relate? The older we get, the more we think we know, and instead of observing the way the world is today and how it has changed, we get stuck in our old ways. The greatest discoveries in science were from people in their 20s and 30s. Did you guys know that? The greatest discoveries in the world in science were all mostly discovered by people in their 20s and 30s. Because when we are young, we're a sponge. But as we get older, we know more, so we become more certain. But certainty is the arch enemy of fear. Certainty is the arch enemy of fear. So as we lose the fear of not achieving our potential, we get stuck in our ways. So what he said is we must mentally return ourselves to a young and energetic state. I'll give you an example. Robert Greene worked with 50 Cent. It's so funny because Robert Greene's like this white dude that had a stroke, glasses, very proper. He looks like a university professor, not overly, doesn't over gestures because he had a stroke. So he's very soft-spoken and he doesn't move around a lot. This guy is hanging out with 50 Cent. You know what he said about 50 Cent? He said 50 Cent was successful because he was rebellious. He went against the grain. And 50 Cent always talked about channeling his inner youth. School's never out for the great ones. When we're younger, we're more rebellious. When we're younger, we're more of a sponge. Aging is the first danger in life. The second, write this down, success. The more we have success, the more we get sucked into our ego. And I want you to ask yourself, is any of this relate to you in your life? The more success we have, the more we get sucked into our ego. All the attention and all the praise become addicting. That's why when most people rise up in sport and in business, a lot of them fall because they become their own prophet. They start to coach themselves. They create their own systems. They create their own paths, right? They win a big trophy. They win a championship or an MVP, and all of a sudden they change everything that they were doing because now they're the prophet. They're the coach. And you know what? When we have success, it's time to be weary. When Kobe Bryant was winning championships, he was in the gym the next day. When Michael Jordan was racking up the trophies, he was in the gym at 4 a.m. with Tim Grover, and he wanted to get better. He was challenging his teammates. See, the praise and attention, you have to see the praise and the attention for what it is. It's a trap. The recognition's a trap. The trophies are a trap. The clapping is a trap. The dopamine hit that you get when you get raised up, it's a trap. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be proud of yourself, but the more success you have, the more weary that you should be. Because we generate blind spots. If this stuff makes sense, let me hear you. And then he talked about this famous swordsman named Miyamoto Musashi. This guy fought and won over 60 fights to the death with a sword. Sometimes fighting 5, 6, one fight up to 10 people. He fought 10 people at once with a sword and he killed them all. These are all fights to the death. But listen to this. All his competitors focused on the sword and the strategy and the steel and the technique. You know what he focused on? He focused on attitude and having a formless mind. Every time he fought, he did not repeat the same tactics. He fought formlessly. See, he said victories were psychological. Listen to this quote. Fixation is the way to death. Fluidity is the way to life. Fixation is the way to death. If you're fixated on something right now, that's the way to death. Because you could potentially if it's the wrong thing, you could potentially be going and fixated down on a spiral that eventually will literally kill you. Or metaphorically, if it's business. Fluidity is the way to life. This is something he understood. So he says, you got to keep your attitude fearless and formless. Wow. That was mind-blowing. The next speaker was Damon West. How many of you heard Damon West, the podcast with Damon West and Ed Milet? Do you guys know who Damon West is? Damon West was a successful business person or successful college athlete, was going to go to the NFL, blew out his shoulder, got addicted to meth, started armed robberies, and he got caught and was sentenced to life in prison in Texas. 7 years into life in prison, he was the only person in Texas who ever got sentenced to life who got granted parole, ever. Now he's on parole for the rest of his life. He got out after 7 years. I'm going to give you this analogy, and I want you to really understand me when I say it. He gave us the coffee bean analogy. See, life is like a boiling pot of water. Firstly, you can decide to be the carrot. The carrot goes into the water, it goes in hard, and it comes out soft and weak. Are you coming out soft and weak because of the environment that you're in? Are you blaming the environment and the team and your leader for the reason that you're soft and you're weak? The second is an egg. An egg goes in, it's a little bit hard on the exterior, it's soft on the inside. But because of the environment, it comes out hard and jaded and angry and frustrated and all puckered up. You know people that are hard from their environment? And the last is the coffee bean. The coffee bean is the only thing that goes into the environment that changes the actual environment. A coffee bean goes in hard and it turns the water into coffee. The coffee bean goes into the environment and it changes the environment. It's the only one. See, the bean is the change agent. Write that down, the change agent. Are you the change agent in your life? Are you the change agent in your surroundings? See, you are responsible to change the environment that you're in. It's not the environment's responsibility to change you. It's all about your positive energy. Go be the coffee bean. Go be the coffee bean. See, you're not going to win all your fights, you guys. You just got to fight all your fights. You're not going to win all your fights. You just have to fight all your fights. And you just need to know that your energy is either going to affect people or infect people. And it's your energy and it's your flow that changes the environment. Are you a change agent on the team that you're in? Are you a change agent? Are you a Kansas for the Thompson Bay Shop? Is that who you are? Are you an Audrey Blatz for the Holbrook Bay Shop? The change agent?